Thank you for being here. Diane, sorry. I was talking to you just a minute ago. Danielle?
Yes.
Wells, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Ms. Cordova,
Here.
Mr. Merrick,
Here.
Mr. South,
Here.
Mr. Reckler,
Present.
Ms. Parker,
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Mr. Robinson is absent. And Mr. Elkins.
Here.
Okay,
If you guys will rise, Russell's going to lead us in the invocation and I'll lead us in the pledge.
Bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, just thankful you come here tonight and just give us wisdom, be at the forefront of our thoughts and help us to be open-minded and make the best decisions we can for the city. Just help us to remind us that we're here to represent the city and make those decisions based on the community we want to serve. I want to thank you for your son dying on the cross. So in your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And the flag of the state of Mexico, the state of civil, of perfect relations among the United Nations. Okay, our next item is public comment. The public has the opportunity to provide comment on subjects regarding city business during the public comment period. Speakers' comments will be limited to 3 minutes unless the mayor and or council requests more information. The time limit is given in effort to allow the public input, but also to move the agenda forward in a prompt and efficient manner. All speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. Topics are limited to six speakers per topic. We have one sign up, Mr. Davidson, and you are going to talk on trash.
Talk trash. Buddy.
Mike Davidson, I apologize to the council. I had no intention of getting up here tonight. I figured you could use a break from my rambling. But I got to thinking, oh, Oscar might miss me, and he didn't even show up, so. The biggest complaint I hear mentioned in our community, besides water, is trash. Sometimes renters move out, sometimes it's landlords piling junk till it flows over the top of the dumpsters and all over the ground. We have a convenience center, but some people are lazy and some folks just don't have a truck or trailer. I know we don't. City has 7 trash trucks, 3 are operational, maybe 4 by now. We have a shortage of at least 3 people in this department. We want to pay $13.50 an hour, but require a CDL license. That is a conflict. The manner in which we are forced to dispose of our trash could not possibly be any more inefficient regarding both time and money. When a trash truck is filled up, it has to be driven to Clovis to be dumped. These trucks are designed to be driven in the alleys, not on the highway. I came up behind a Portales truck one day heading to Clovis. It was going like 45 miles an hour, just wound out like top speed. We are wearing out our trucks probably 7 times faster than we need to. The trucks are going 100 to 150 miles a day to dispose of trash, and those miles would go a long ways in alley miles. And these trucks cost $250,000 each. So also what is greatly impacting us is that when it is windy, Clovis closes the refuse center. Our service comes to a stop because our trash trucks fill up and can't empty. We are at their mercy. I would ask the council to strongly consider a transfer station like the one Fort Sumner has, whereas we could dump locally with the trash trucks and haul the refuse to Clovis in an 18-wheeler designed for the highway, 1 driver, 1 trip, every 2 or 3 days, however often was necessary. Our people and trucks are spending 1/3 of their day driving and waiting in line to dump trash. In other words, 33% or more of their time is spent not picking up trash. We would free up our drivers, free up our trucks, cut down on maintenance, and lengthen the lifespan of our equipment. I guarantee you, we are already paying for this transfer station and a bit better wage. We just don't have them. Mr. DeWitt brought up a great point that we could procure a cardboard baler, separate the cardboard, and other entities would haul that off for us and even pay us for it. We wouldn't benefit much from cardboard money, but we would benefit by reducing the bulk amount of trash we dump, and that costs $42 a load to dispose of. Mr. Rackler also pointed out that we could reintegrate our plastics recycling aspect as well, because this is important to many of our residents. Please keep this in your mind, high on our priority list. Steve and crew need some assistance in getting and keeping our community clean. So thank you.
Next item are minutes of the previous meeting. They were in your packet for review. Is there any discussion over the minutes? Make a motion to approve. We have a motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Merrick. All in favor, please say aye.
Alright.
All opposed? Motion carries. Presentations, we are going to have our presentations, and I see that Miss Erin walked in. So our first presentation is a proclamation for social work for the month of March 2024. Erin, you want to come on up? So the proclamation reads, whereas Social Work Month 2024 proclamation empowering social workers. Whereas social work is a profession truly dedicated to helping people. Whereas the primary mission of social work is to enhance human well-being and to meet the basic and complex needs of all people. Whereas social workers put a particular focus on helping people who are vulnerable, oppressed, or living in poverty. Whereas social workers follow a code of ethics that calls to them to fight social injustice and respect the dignity and worth of all people. Whereas social workers meet people where they are and help the people and communities reach their full potential. Whereas social workers work in all facets of our society, including schools, hospital, community organizations, the military, the mental health centers, social service agencies, corporations, and local, state, and federal government. Whereas social workers are the front lines in helping the nation solve pressing social problems, including an increased demand for mental health services, an opioid addiction crisis, and economic inequality. Whereas social workers are in high demand, and with some states reporting shortages in social work staffing, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics predicting social work will be one of the fastest growing professions in our nation during this decade. Whereas in 2024, Social Work Month theme, Empowering Social Workers, embodies the need for society to support social workers so that they can continue to do life affirming work they do and help address the socialite needs. Social workers in turn empower people, communities, and our nation, helping everyone to achieve their full potential. Therefore, in recognition of the numerous contributions made by the American social workers, I, Veronica Cordova, Mayor Pro Tem of Portales, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as National Social Work Month and call upon all citizens to join the National Association of Social Workers and the City of Portales in celebrating and supporting the social work profession and encourage all citizens to join in this observance. And we have a proclamation for you, and if you would like to say any words, we appreciate it. Thank you. Wonderful.
Well, I work with United Way, and as part of a federal grant that we are administering and Curry Roosevelt Plan, we're supporting social workers. We are encouraging folks to go into social work and supporting with stipends, students who are interns for social work. And, as stated in this proclamation. She's trying to take her.
Yeah.
The proclamation, you know, you can find social workers everywhere you find people in need, support. And, ENMU, if you didn't know, just, was approved to start offering a master's of social work. And so this is gonna be a big customer area growing professional, which we are in high demand right now, and for the foreseeable future, we'll have high demand, and need for these professionals. So please, hug a social worker and, encourage folks to get to know the profession more. Again, you can find them everywhere.
You're welcome. And Erin, we'd like to thank everything that you do for our community. I'm just gonna put a little United Way plug in. If your business needs something to support. Erin at United Way offers a lot of services to our community and they are very beneficial. Hit her up.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2 is employee of the month. We have TJ who's going to present this one.
I received an email from the city manager, so I'm gonna read this as it is read from her. Christine Mitchell for Employee of the Month. When I got this nomination for Employee of the Month, I was really excited because it came from somebody outside of our staff. And this nomination came genuinely. The person that nominated Christine for Employee of the Month stated that at first he was not sure how they would get along, but over the years that he's worked with her, he's noticed how detailed she is and how good with technology she is. He stated or states he was impressed with her work. Therefore, the person to be nominated for Employee of the Month for the month of March 2024 is Christine Mitchell. She's been nominated for Employee of the Month by City Attorney Steve Dorr. Congratulations, well deserved. Sincerely, Sarah Austin.
We appreciate it. Our next presentation is 5-year service awards for our HR business partner, Jenna Richards and Victor Ordonez. A 5-year service award, this certificate is proudly presented to Victor Ordonez, date of hire March 26, 2019, without his birthday. The city of Portales thanks you for your loyalty and dedication to its employees in this community. I know that your job is one of the hardest jobs in the city, so we appreciate all you do for our community. Thank you. And this one in 5-year service award, this certificate is proudly presented to Jenna Richards, date of hire February 25th, 2019. The city thanks you for your loyalty and dedication to its employees in the community.
Picture.
Sorry.
Yeah, 2. Okay, this one is a 15-year certificate, and this is going to our chief of police, Christopher Williams. So not only do you have a hard job, but you get to put up with all them, so it's not a hard job. Good. So this is a 15-year service award. This certificate is proudly presented to Christopher Williams, date of hire February 25th of 2019. The city thanks you for your loyalty and dedication to its employees in this community. And congratulations. Next item for presentations is item 5, the Public Utility Department update. Mr. Mendoza.
Good evening. So I have a couple components that I'm gonna touch on. First, I want to talk about, the water staff. So the department that I have right now is one equipment operator. I have 2 laborers, I have 1 service rep, 1 meter reader, and a meter reader in training. And we have 4 openings and we filled the billing department. The 2 that we're trying to hire. We're still waiting on the flow meters. We're planning on pulling the existing flow meters out to get that prepped for when we do get those meters in. The well field, since all of this is going to be based on January 1 of this year. So there's been 5 wells that have been cleaned. That's well 7, 34, 29, 18, 26. Well 22 is down. It just needs wiring done, replaced from the wellhead to the pole. That's about 1,400 foot and it's underground. Well 8 is back online, or it will be as soon as we get the wiring back. We had to go in and they did a new casing in that. Eric just finished the pumping and static level for Charlie Wilson report. And then we're still waiting on the funds for the geophysical survey. I talked to DBSNA, Jennifer Hill today. They're gonna go ahead and send over the archaeological survey to the state so that way that's done. We have a total of 3 main repairs that we've done since 2024 started. Service line repairs, we have 15, and that includes service lines, valve replacements, and upgrades. Sewer main repairs, we've had 2 main repairs since January 1, and that's replacement of busted main. We've had 17 sewer calls reported to City Hall since January 1st. We've flushed all 17 sewers just to make sure we're good and flowing. Preventative maintenance, we've had 45 flushes on the collection system. That's just us going out and hitting the trouble spots. 811 calls, we've responded to 157 standard locates and 19 emergency locates, and that's that other utilities have called into us, not that we've called in. Fire hydrants, currently we're creating a sufficient hydrant replacement plan. This replacement plan, we're gonna try to work as best as we can to get the bagged fire hydrants. With that, we're gonna replace each one that needs to be replaced and repair the ones that we can. The issue that we're running into with the replacements or the repairs is each one of them's true to repair kit. So you have to know manufacture date and you have to know where that fire hydrant was actually made at a factory for them to give us some of those. So those ones we're just gonna replace. We've currently got 3 bagged hydrants repaired and 1 replaced. We did get the 1 replaced in front of the high school. That's done. I don't know if y'all noticed that one, but it's up and running. It's back online. It would have been done last week, but we found out that that's tied into the school. So we shut the school down. So we went ahead and waited till this week's. They're on spring break. So the current plan is focused on all bagged fire hydrants first. Our next focus would be oldest fire hydrants, and our oldest fire hydrant that we have in our system right now is in the 1940s. So we would start from there and work our way up. So there's not one particular fire hydrant that we're looking at that's better than the other. They all need to be repaired and replaced if deemed necessary. So we're just kind of going through as much as we can. We're trying to hit the schools first is kind of where we're looking at. And then we'll go from there and just start doing the best we can with those fire hydrants. The problem is we have 7 on hand right now. Fire hydrant runs anywhere between 3,200 and 5,000. So, and that's just for the fire hydrant. That's not including, if it needs isolation. Or if it has an isolation valve. I mean, we have the ability to install Insta valves, but that's pricey too. That's $7,000. And that's just for the sleeve and IV 250 cartridge. So we're trying our best with fire hydrants. We really are. And James, we've been putting together a plan to get those replaced as best as we can. Again, we're short staffed. He's my only operator at the moment. I can operate a backhoe. You need 3 people to do 1 fire hydrant. So we're working on it. Standard locates is another thing that we run into an issue. You know, calling locates, it takes 48 hours for us to call and locate on fire hydrants. And then we can start doing the work before that ticket's valid. We're maintaining about 22 to 29 feet of water at the storage tanks on Johnson Hill. And that's pictures that are taken from 8 to 9 in the morning every day. And this is starting January 1st. So they're manually checked every morning. We're holding about, or we're maintaining about 1.0 to 1.4 chlorine residual, and that's residual after contact time. So that's what's left over in the system. And that's also been recorded since January 1st. Roughly between, until we get the flow meters in on the outgoing, we're again going off of pictures of inflow. 1,000 to 2,000 gallons per minute coming in. That's an average of 1,500 gallons a day flowing in. Roughly 2,160,000 gallons per day.
Does anybody have any questions?
Just real quick, Chris, I know the one with the high school, you had to shut them down because it was attached. Do we know how many of the hydrants are attached to places that we're gonna have to shut down in air? Or some not?
So honestly, I mean, there's a lot that have isolation valves. We play with the school. I don't know why that one was so the way it was. I mean, we don't have nothing on the map. We do now. But it runs at a weird angle and just, I think, ties into another street that we didn't know about. So, but it has an isolation valve on it now. We installed one, so
Okay.
it has a true isolation valve to itself. So.
Can you go back over the wells that were cleaned slowly?
Okay, so well number 7, that one was cleaned, and that one produces about 70, 80 gallons per minute. Number 34 was also cleaned, and that one's about 60 gallons production. Number 29, which is 150 gallon per minute. 18, 120 gallons per minute, and number 26 is 60 gallons per minute. And after I get with Eric, we're gonna get that static.
Was it increased after we cleaned them or were they?
Yes.
They would.
Okay.
Do you have the before and after or the?
He's got some well
I
notes.
got a spreadsheet that shows. I take GPMs about every
Right.
3 months or so. And so I have a GPM and with the static and pumping report that I just got done for Charlie Wilson, I also get GPMs at that time too for that report. So if you were to guess, are we increasing when we clean 25%? I mean, just around the ballpark, I guess what I'm asking is, there's what we're gaining offsetting the cost of these cleanings that we're doing. They are increasing. I can't tell you what the percentage is. Every well is different, so. I know the well 29 that we just got done cleaning, I think it was producing about 120, 130. And now after it's done cleaning, it's producing about 150. So.
And then, of course, like I said, we're working on he's got some well notes that we're gonna go over, and then after that static and pumping test comes back, or once we put it all together, we'll send it over to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got it on a spreadsheet, I'd like to see it. So,
Yep. We'll get it updated and send it over.
thank you.
Anybody over here?
Good information. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
We're putting an area of focus on the schools too for our children that are in the community, and also, I hope you enjoyed your time off with your new baby.
Oh, yeah,
And I hope she's doing well.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Just for clarity, I don't know if it'd be better, but if we could move that into discussion area, so it's clear that it's not just a presentation. When he makes his update, it'd be nice if it was down in the discussion, because we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
I'll pass on this.
Thanks.
Okay, action items, city clerk area, this is public item 1 is public hearing for the approval of the application for for Hut, New Mexico. LLC DBA Pizza Hut located at 1001 North Chicago Avenue for approval of the issuance of a restaurant beer and wine liquor license with on premises consumption.
Yes.
Ms. Lopes.
Okay, so I think this is a fairly clear-cut case. And in my staff summary, I certainly suggested approving this particular license. Pizza Hut has been in our community for a long number of years, the majority of my life, and I'm 58. So for that amount of time, most of the time they've existed here, they have been allowed to serve alcohol with the previous owners. And it is my suggestion that we allow Hut, New Mexico LLC to obtain a license to continue to serve the community in the way that they have in the past. And the majority of their existence here in our city.
And this is just coming before us because it's a change in ownership, correct?
Exactly.
Okay,
They're a new owner for this particular Pizza Hut.
okay. Does anybody have any?
And the contact person or representative for the company is attending by Zoom. This is Cheryl Reese.
Thank you, Ms. Reese, for being here. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
this is.
Thank you.
We need to go
To
into.
public hearing. Okay, so item A, action to enter into public hearing for the issuance of the restaurant beer and wine liquor license.
Make a motion to enter public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Rackler and a second by Ms. Parker. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are in public hearing. Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Reese. Now, if you'd like to add anything, we're in public hearing.
I don't have anything to add unless somebody has a question.
Okay, we are open to the public. Does anybody have anything that they would like to add for? Anything against? Okay, I would like to, item B, action to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Parker, a second by Mr. Self. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So now item C is action by the council on the application for the issuance of the restaurant's beer and wine liquor license with on-premises consumption.
Make motion approved. Second.
Just waiting for something else.
I have a motion by Mr. Rackler and a second by Mr. Self. Can we have a roll call vote?
Hey. Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson is absent, so Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Reese. Next item is public infrastructure. Item 1 is approval of resolution 2024-05, a resolution declaring surplus equipment for auction. Mr. Chavez.
Mayor Pro Tem Council, tonight we bring resolution 2024-05 to approve a public online auction for vehicles no longer being used by the city. 'Cause- 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 'cause-
Steve, when we surplus these, do we send them to auction
Yes,
and then we would just recoup whatever we get off of auction?
yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
Where do they go?
We're doing an online auction.
Okay, I guess what my question was just who does does the city itself do it or?
There's a company that you go through and you set up a profile with them and we do it all.
Is it public service?
Yes.
So is it by proxy bid or?
Well, you set your what you want to start with. And then you go with the highest bidder after that.
So we have a minimum
We have a minimum.
It's the same one the schools use for the.
and we've used them in the past.
Yes.
And it's really good
Those-
compared to the way it used to be.
Works with.
Looks really good.
Any other questions?
I move for approval of resolution 2-204-05.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Lopez. Can we get a roll call vote, Daniel? Ms. Lopez, please.
Yes. Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Steve. Next department is the fire department. Item 1 is recommendation for approval of the mayor and fire EMS chief's signatures on the assurance page for the grant application for Lucas Equipment. This grant application is $84,046.28 for four I-4 chest compression devices. Did I say it correctly?
Yes, ma'am. It's actually 4 chest compression devices, not specifically for Lucas. We didn't want to narrow it down to only one option if funded. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Due to the increase in funding from Senate Bill 151, the EMS Bureau opened up the grant application period for another 14 days. We already have 3 applications in, but with them opening up, that tells me that they got more funding than they have applications. So we thought it'd be wise to cast a big net and see what we can get. So we have 2 grant applications for them today. The previous applications are for a 2-wheel drive ambulance, cardiac monitors, and a trauma mannequin for training. The first one tonight is for 4 chest compression devices. Each one's a little over $21,000. Right now we have 4 ambulances, so we requested little over 84,000 for 4 of those devices. They're proven to be very effective with chest compressions, and the biggest thing in our situation, it frees up a set of hands to be able to do other treatment. So we can truly do more. I'll stand for any questions.
Chief, I was just noticing on the next one, there's a match. We didn't have one on this one. There's no
So
match
there's
on
no
this.
match on this.
Okay.
grant. It's only for the vehicle purchase grants.
Thank you.
I just have a comment. It's I think it's a critical thing that we get these because even though your run times are shorter here in the town, I have been one that has been in the back of an ambulance doing chest compressions for 45 minutes to an hour, and it gets very exhausting.
Yes, sir.
You switch out a lot, and like you said, this frees up one of your people in the back to not have to do that. I think it's a very worthwhile cause.
Anybody else? Mr. Dorr, is it okay that the agenda item has Lucas on there? Do we need to make an amendment to that, or are we okay?
Or you make
A motion with not specifying?
Yes.
Okay. What is the pleasure of the council?
Make the motion that we approve the grant application for the chest compression devices. So
Is that?
with the amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Merrick and a second by Mr. Self. Danielle, can we get a roll call?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Reckler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 2 is recommendation for approval of the mayor and the fire EMS chief signatures on assurance page for grant application for a 4x4 ambulance with the total cost of $293,000 with a 25% city match in the amount of $73,250.
Thank you
Chief
again,
Kathy.
Mayor Pro Tem and council. As we are all thankfully aware, our ambulance fleet needs some tending to, therefore we're taking the steps to improve that. With needing a four-wheel drive ambulance, our ambulance fleet hasn't increased since before 1989. With our run volume and the need for service, it would be beneficial for us to bump up to 5 in-service ambulances. And with the response that we provide outside the city limits, it's not so much a four-wheel drive for snow and ice as it is for dirt and sand. And extrication of patients out in the middle of a field, that it would be a lot safer for the patient and crew to have that ability. Therefore, we're applying for a four-wheel drive type 1 ambulance. There is a chance that the capital outlay funding, if funded for both of the vehicle purchase grants, that funding from capital outlay could provide for the match for the 2 if funded. If not, I'll have to work with the city manager and finance to come up with the match for this grant. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? So the match right now at this point is not a budgeted item, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody else? No. What is the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of or the grant application for the purchase of a 4x4 ambulance with the match, and I'm confident that they should be able to. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Parker and a second by Mr. Elkins. Danielle, one more time, please.
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Reckler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 3 is recommended approval for medical director agreement with Dr. Carver. The cost will be $2,000 per month, $24,000 annually, plus New Mexico GRT. Medical direction is required for all EMS services, including emergency medical dispatchers. 6 volunteer fire department portion will be $7,200 annually, and the city of Portales, the fire department and dispatch portion will be $18,060 annually. Chief Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and council. This is familiar. We talked about this last council meeting. This is the back end agreement with the city and the medical director himself. He's a great medical director that we feel will do a very good job for our service and the volunteers in our area. And it's coming in at a very fair cost for the services provided. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
How did we arrive at the percentages between the county and the city?
Once we were made aware that we needed to find a medical director, we scrambled to put together a quick meeting with all the area services. And I honestly settled at a lower amount at what I felt was fair at $1,000 a year. They brought it up to be $1,200. And it was just the agreement between us that they felt that that was fair and we felt that that was fair. Based on the volume and the need.
You played nice in the sandbox.
If you ever get a chance to watch us on a mutual aid request for a big grass fire, structure fire, the way the agencies in our community operate is very admirable and we all work really well together.
Yes,
And
well, I'm
this is another example of that.
proud that you all were able to come up with that. Anybody else? Mr. Merrick? Anybody on this side? Okay, what is the pleasure of the council?
approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Merrick and a second by Ms. Parker. Danielle?
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next department is the police department. Item 1 is requesting approval for the mayor's signature on fiscal year 2025 Law Enforcement Protection Fund application. Chief Williams.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. This is just our annual application for our Law Enforcement Protection Fund from the state. Our base is 95,000 for the agency with a $1,500 per certified officer as of June sometime, but we don't have anybody in the academy, so it's gonna be with our current staffing. So it's just our annual funding that we get from the state, from the insurance fees and things, so it just requires the mayor's signatures as well as mine for it. So,
Do we have any questions?
motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Merrick and a second by Mr. Lopez. Danielle?
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
and Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next department is the Community Service Department. Ms. McLennan, item 1 is notice of intent to adopt amendment to ordinance number 695, an amendment for xeriscaping enforcement and rebates. Ms. McLennan.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So I was requested with the water problems to relook at our xeriscape, to work on the ordinance and bring it back to you. Some of you were at the retreat, or semi-familiar with it. You do have one in your packet and then a supplemental. They are different because we took it to the Public Works for their recommendations, but we didn't have time to get their recommendations done before we submitted our packet. So the one in your packet's pre their recommendations, your supplement is post their recommendations. Most of the changes in the original one that were done was adding an enforcement and a rebate quality to it. The original one was hard to enforce. I thought it was $500 or 90 days in jail, but it's actually $500 a day or 90 days in jail, but we have to go through the courts, which takes very long and doesn't always get approved. So this enforcement that's put in here is actually they get 30 days to fix xeriscaping, and then it's $25 a day added to their water bill, and then it caps out at whatever number the council would be comfortable with. We took this ordinance to the Public Works Committee. They had fantastic recommendations. So in your supplemental, the things they changed were they added the city manager to the appeal process. At any point, you can go through an appeal if you don't feel like this is a good fit for you as a new developer. They added the city manager to it. They changed, what was the other part? They took away the rebates. The original one has a rebate. They had a really good idea of actually turning that into a water rate structure. So if a rebate happens, once this was passed, if you had done your xeriscaping a week before, we couldn't rebate you for it. But if they did a water structure based on people who xeriscape get a lower water rate, then anyone who's rebated in the past still gets rewarded for it. So I think they made really good recommendations for changes. But the intent to introduce is, I'll let you guys know about it. In 30 days, we come back for a public hearing to get adopted. And Mr. Rackler was was in for the Public Works Committee, so he might have some stuff as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out what we asked them to do was, since we already had the company coming in, we approved last meeting to do the rate evaluation. We just asked that Kelly get a hold of them and include a possibility of finding a way to include some kind of reduction for people with xeriscape. And so we'd have that to look at as part of the plan, whether we chose it or not, at least we'd have an option to look at that. Rather than Our concern was some people, once we went to zero, once we went to stage three, some people have already gone and replaced their yards. And if we come out with a rebate the next couple of months. And somebody does it now, they're gonna get the money, the ones who just did it or not, and that we didn't feel like that was. So we felt like we needed to take that rebate out and look at it as a rate decrease structure.
Well, and I guess I've got a question on that rebate that y'all talking about. It said it was a $2 per square foot of xeriscape.
And that is that would be up for council's decision. The public committee recommended taking that part out. So it'd be up to you guys if you'd like to
Well-
keep it or change those numbers.
Yeah, because if I have 2,000 square feet of grass that I convert to xeriscape, that's $4,000 that you'd credit me.
Yes.
And my water bill's like $100, so I'd have to pay a water bill for like 4 years.
That's why we took it out.
Yeah. But the Public Works Committee was gonna set it, but they decided to take it
I'm
out.
fixed to be without a water bill for about 3
Yes.
years.
Yeah, I did on that.
But if the council wanted to do the rebate, it would be up to them to decide what rebate amount they would choose. We just took it off of Albuquerque's as a template filler.
But I would say this one in paper is the one you really need to look at, because we changed quite a bit from the one that's on. That was in council. Well, not quite a bit, but enough you need to review it.
Yes.
Because we did take the rebate part completely out.
Mr. Dixon, do you have anything to add as part of this committee?
Well, you covered it.
Okay,
Yeah, we wanted to make sure everybody is part of it, instead of just.
thank you. Mr. Lexi,
Good.
do we have any questions?
I do. So the draft that we received in our packet to begin with, it was 4 pages.
Yes.
Front and back. And this one that you've handed us is several more. So. And going off of the numbers in here, I think the original one that we received was just a portion of it, unless you've added.
Yes, they sent you the parts that were changing. So the part in your packet is not the entire ordinance. They just included the parts that had been changed.
5-1 through 5-3 were already part of the ordinance.
Yes, so chapter 16, I believe, is 13 different sections. So the part in your packet, we just included the parts that were changed of the complete ordinance. And then we attached the complete ordinance in your supplement.
Just for future reference, I would like to see the whole ordinance sent to us whenever we get a packet,
Okay,
instead of pulling out a portion, because it's hard for me to go back and not have questions on something that was just handed to me at the meeting, so. I'm all for conserving, but I'd like to see the whole packet when we get it, so that I've got time to look it over.
yes, sir, we can send you the whole ordinance.
What I'd like to see on that, when you do that, I would put in red of what is changing or what you're recommending. And then having the old ordinance in there so that I know exactly what the heck changed.
For the change, okay,
Just to make it a lot easier to kind of cover what we're trying to change on that.
okay.
And normally we have them like in the past lined out. So you know that
That's
we're
right.
taking.
Strike
those
out the
out
parts
of
that-
For the-
way.
okay.
Yeah, and then the red, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, please, that'd be great.
And then, as far as the ordinance itself, we're basically getting this to look at and then taking action on it at the next meeting.
Yes, sir. So we bring it up for the 30 days, so members of the public can request a new ordinance. So if they want to read it and then come up to the public hearing to protest it, recommend change, or to come up and support, they have a chance to do that before it goes into effect.
So what will be the next meeting? Will be the one.
I believe it's going to rather be the second or third meeting next. I've got to see if we meet the time limit, the next applicable.
Gotta
one.
get to 30.
And I think the May 14th is the next one that's over 30 days.
And this is the one you're gonna post out for the public to.
We'll give them both of them, as we gave both to you, so they have the options to see both drafts that are being recommended.
Can we
You're not
correct
recommending
those
one-
with the?
We can correct.
You're not recommending one over the other.
It is completely up to you. The Public Works Committee one, they did a lot of very thoughtful insight to it. So if I had to give you a recommendation, I'd recommend the one that had their input in it. But it is ultimately up to council.
So can you strike one of those recommendations just to make it simple for the public?
Do we have to listen?
No, I talked to Miss Danielle, or Miss Laura talked to Miss Danielle and said you guys can make your recommendation to
Yes.
intent to adopt the revised one. Move forward and just have that singular one.
So is the Public Works Committee making a recommendation to the council for us to accept this one? The one
Yes,
that was
this
not
is
in the
the-
packet.
Yeah, the one that has a supplemental combines their recommendations in there of how they would like the old one changed into the new one.
And I'm like, Mr. Self, I don't want to, it's confusing enough for
The-
us, but if we present two of them to the public, then they're gonna be really confused. So I think we need to choose one or the other to make a recommendation to go ahead and go with that one and then present that. And then if there's changes from that, then we can go from there.
That'll work out. If you put it in your motion, then we'll accept whichever one and just give that one to the public.
I would like to make a motion then. Oh, you have more discussion. Okay.
I have some problems with some of the wording and some of this and some. Determinations of who is gonna be acting on this, because if it's a committee or if it's. Internal personnel of the city, who's gonna be making these determinations?
So what'll happen is whatever you choose on this is what planning and zoning will uphold. So if someone can't meet these numbers, they can go, their first appeal is to the city manager. So these numbers are really based to your residential properties, but let's say someone puts a business on like a 3-acre lot and they're not gonna be able to do all this xeriscaping, they can appeal it to the city manager. She can decide to uphold it or not, then it goes to the Public Works Committee for an actual public hearing. Where they can talk to the Public Works Committee, who can grant them their appeal, or they can deny it, and then they can also take it to city council if the Public Works denies them for an appeal. So we'll just implement what you can, but it'll still come up for special cases, possibly up to you if the others have denied it.
Well, that's some of the things that I was questioning is the fact that there's a. In section 512. Item B. It's given the property owner 1 month to rectify the issues and then a fine starts. Well. You're trying to get somebody booked to come in and do changes on landscaping. They're all gonna be busy. They're all doing landscaping changes as it is. So trying to get someone to do this, and then there's no provisions in there that if they just quit watering. You know, that'll stop. So once they've been tagged as violating this ordinance. That's ongoing until they appeal to the city manager.
Yes, sir, and this is for new development. So this is for new development, so they're coming in with the awareness that they need to do their xeriscaping. So it should be in their plans. It won't affect people who already have properties unless they go to xeriscaping.
Right. But you're talking two different eggs here. You're talking about new development and you're talking about people that have existing.
Yes, so this one's for new development. So their xeriscaping, this contract is only for new development moving forward. If you have green grass, you don't have to change the xeriscaping, but if you'd like to get that water rate structure, if that's the way you guys choose to do it, they would have to go to xeriscaping to get that water rate structure.
I'll say none of us have green grass, right?
Yeah. Brown grass.
So the supplement is only related to new, but the one that was in our packets is also relating to existing.
Some of that was part of what the Public Works Committee requested we take out. Our one that we currently have allowed if you did 50% substantial change or you switch to xeriscaping, you could be penalized for going back. And so they requested that be taken out, so that's not in your supplement. But that is in the one we currently have in an ordinance.
Oh, okay, so maybe that's where the confusion is.
That could be, yes, sir.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
as the attorney, I would suggest the council consider tabling this. I mean, I have confusions, I mean, there are issues in here, including the fines. One page says hey, it's 250, the other says 500. I mean, I would suggest we table this, and when it's completely done and reviewed, we bring you back the one that has all the wording in it that you're gonna be asked to approve. And maybe we need to be coming to the public works meeting and trying to work through some of these issues before it comes back, so.
We can definitely do that.
I was gonna ask, if we table it, where's it gonna go back to?
So we're not tabling, correct? We're postponing.
Postponing, we're just postponing action on it. And I'll meet with Kelly and we'll get together and compare contract that has the language and the wording and the information that that you are gonna be requested to approve.
So it's not going back to Public Works or anybody else. You guys are gonna look at
Yes.
Because I think Public Works meets every 3 months. Is that,
Quarterly.
It's-
Meeting every other week.
or they eating every week?
They're
Mhm.
meeting
Yeah, I
every-
think
Never
they're
mind.
meeting every other week.
So if we wanted to take it to Public Works for another review, could we?
Well, we can, but yeah, and if that's what you want, then we'll take that process. Right now, just, not take any action. I'll just table this right now.
That's a good idea.
And if we table an item, then can you just explain the difference between tabling and postponing?
Well, really, there isn't much. Tabling is just no action and won't be any action until you request for it. And postponing it is when I just bring it back to you and you take action on it. So I mean, I like to table it because that's an official action. And it won't come back until it's, you vote, it's on the agenda, and you approve it, being taken off the table so you can take action on it. Well, I understood it. If you table it, it can die without you bringing it back. That's exactly.
You don't bring
right.
it
If you
back.
have to postpone it, then you're just bringing it back at a different time. But I'm not gonna kill it. I mean, I think the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and each of you will wanna know where it is, so. I mean, my idea is we get it back to you at the next council meeting.
And I would like to see it go back to Public Works if everybody's in agreement with that.
I would point out that when we had that meeting, the reason I was there is because Oscar asked everybody to come. But we do have to watch that because we can't all go. So we need some clarity of who's gonna show up for those. When we ask each other to go to one of the meetings, like that one. When I walked in, I just kind of walked by the room, make sure there wasn't 3 or 4 of you already sitting there. And we'd have had a quorum issue, so. All you have to do is just give notice of a potential quorum. Right, but we didn't do that,
Yeah,
so I
but
didn't want to do that at that meeting. I'm just saying, if we're gonna ask everybody to go to that Public Works meeting, we need to make sure and put that.
Post.
I didn't even touch on all of my questions. I've got my page marked all up and through here, so.
So you'll give it.
And I'm not trying to say that Public Works didn't do the job. It's just that it's a little confusing to someone that wasn't there through that meeting to read this and then try to pick out what you needed to out of it. So I just think we need some clarification.
Mr. Dennison?
From Public Works. First of all, that ordinance is worded as it possibly can be. It's far too wordy, far too much logo jumbo. And giving multiple versions of it only makes it worse. So if it can be simplified, it sure would be.
Okay, what is the pleasure? of
I make a
council?
motion that we postpone. Well, you know what? And this is really funny because you said you always go table. In all the years that I've been on council, we've never really postponed anything. We've always tabled it. So staying with what we've done, I'd like to make a motion that we table this until it goes back to Public Works and it's looked at and then brought back to us in a simpler form.
Can I say
Yes,
something? So, I would like to say, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilman. I would suggest, like Mr. Reckler did say, usually us are the ones that take care of the quorum potential of quorum. So if any of y'all would like to, attend, if y'all could get a hold of me or just shoot me an email and just let me know, hey, and then that way I can do, usually it's like a 72-hour.
Can we just make it simple for you and just post the potential quorum, once we're gonna have that
Like the
meeting
72-hour before?
before the
Yes.
next meeting?
And
that
this
we're
person
going
is
to?
choose
The public.
Because there is one on the
Works
19th.
Tuesday at 9.
This
The
coming
Water
Tuesday?
Supplies
Yes.
is Monday at 9. The Public Works Committee is Tuesday at 9 AM.
Mhm.
I don't think the attorney is gonna have enough time by Tuesday. Would you agree?
Probably not.
Oh, yeah. So it's gonna have to be the next Public Works after that.
What is the next one, Kristen?
Oscar's was gonna make a decision at the next one. As soon as it goes out, I'll send it out.
Okay, and then just post that way we're in compliant.
Okay, there is a motion on the table.
Yes, so we have a motion by Ms. Parker and a
floor.
second by Mr. Self. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Second.
Is that roll call? All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item is the city manager. Sarah's ill today, so Chief Kathy's going to take this over for us. The renewal of the loan agreement with the National Museum of the Air Force, NMUSAF, for the F-111 jet static display.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As you just read, this is the 5-year reoccurring agreement for the National Museum, not the New Mexico National Museum of the United
Oh,
States Air
sorry.
Force. You didn't say that. I just, every time I practice this.
Oh.
I'm trying to get it correctly this time. Because the first time I glanced through this, it said loan and I got really, really confused. Because we're not applying for a loan. They loan us the aircraft to use on display. The only fiscal impact on the city is we are responsible for the upkeep and the insurance. But this is the same thing we have to do every 5 years. That has been presented to council before. And I will do my best to muddle through and answer the questions.
Well, I'd just like to say that the community did a really good job of raising the funds to get that updated. And we did have I guess it was just a display, kind of like a dedication, but we are going to do an official ribbon cutting for that as well. So that some of our donors can come in because as we appreciate Jody at RCCDC for being our fiscal agent, she does have people who want to attend that, so we will get that taken care of. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to add?
Madam Mayor, has everybody read this? Read through it? I mean, there are provisions in here. 6.0 says you can't, you shall not allow professional photography.
I noticed that.
I don't know how you're gonna control that. I don't know how you're gonna stop it. I mean, put up a sign and you all know how that works.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I thought if people take, senior pictures beside it or something, we violated.
9.3, city is strictly liable for up to and full replacement of the airplane. If something happens. 10.1, borrow agrees to the greatest extent permitted by New Mexico law to indemnify, hold harmless the government. There's just some very tight provisions. I just want to make sure you read all those and understand it before you vote on this.
There was a value of 36,000 or something like that put on it.
You see something in here, I don't
Yeah, I
remember.
think-
Which is the amount that they place on it so that we can put the appropriate insurance amount.
Okay.
Mr. Slunk, have a question there?
I was just curious how much the contract had changed. It changes every 5 years. You bring up some good points. I don't believe it's changed. I mean, I can go back and look at it, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's a standard contract that the Air Force sends out to every single static display they have in the nation.
No, wasn't it a yearly contract and now it's going to 5 years?
I think it's over 5.
I think it's at a,
You know,
I think it was
started
five,
being
five.
yearly. I actually thought it was a 10-year contract. Well,
I think I read in it that it was a renewal class. It's been a while since I read it.
But if it is council's pleasure to not enter this contract, the main risk is that they come and get their.
well, they will. I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm just, these are the same requirements that have been in everyone, and I've given the same spiel to every council. I just want to make sure when you're voting on it, you understand these provisions are in it.
So you're saying no professional photography. Is it something that we need to look at as a city that possibly put a sign there? And I mean, even if we put up a sign, obviously it's going to be really hard to enforce. I mean, but yet there's going to be a sign there. So if something was to occur, we could come back and say, we've covered our bases and we do have a sign posted where there's.
Well, under this contract, you really can't cover your base. You're just hopeful that if you put up a sign, it'll deter people from doing it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean they won't steal your sign.
And can they be fined?
I'm sorry.
Can they be fined?
Sure. I mean,
Individually?
Yeah, I mean, defacing or damaging city property, and that would be city property.
So does that mean we find the pigeons that?
They actually have cleanup crews and they come and they do a heck of a job. It's a special type of substance, soap or whatever they put on the aircraft to clean it, clean the pigeons. Dropping, whatever you call it, and everything else off of it. They do a pretty good job of maintaining it.
And it's a lot of proud veterans that come out and do that.
Joe received a message from the city manager. It was a 1-year contract, but it did move to 5.
I was gonna say, I found it in this letter from the museum to us that said the loan renewal period has been extended to a 5-year cycle. Going forward, it will remain a 5-year cycle. That's what it is. So the 4th and the 9th year of each decade.
Okay. Something we need to approve.
Anything else? Can we have, what do we have for the pleasure of the council?
Yeah.
Is that your second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Self and a second by Mr. Merrick. Danielle, will you call the roll?
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
Yes.
Mr. Rackler,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is city council and staff comments. We'll start with the staff. We have anybody on staff that would like to make a comment? Chief Williams?
Can't remember if it's been since the last council meeting or not, but our go live date of the cameras is Monday. That'll begin the 30 days of warnings going. So 30 days after that, is on the actual violation.
Said Monday?
Yes. Before those go live, someone needs to change them to daylight savings time. We've got school zones that are flashing at 5 o'clock in the
Feeling
afternoon.
my thunder, that's what I'm saying.
But is that done by the state or is that done by?
Also got one on C. Yeah, over by Landals. One end of it's flashing, the other one's not. I think they're about an hour off on it, so. And then someone had mentioned that over on 18th Street, that school zone was the same way. One end was correct and the other was not. The one on Globe was actually, both ends of it were flashing at 5 o'clock, so. I know they were covered up.
And they're on this week in the spring break.
Yeah.
Because we turn it off, we have more problems.
Yeah, that's not a problem as far as it being on spring break, but we've got to get a contract at the right time if we're gonna be using our cameras.
Well, I don't have a problem if we're gonna leave them on during spring break, as long as we're not gonna, are we gonna send people tickets during spring break? That's my concern.
It's not.
Well, I mean, but it will be.
After spring break. Yeah, that's why we're starting after spring break, so we don't have to worry about it.
Right, but there's a lot of vacations that come along that they're running.
But
I
that's,
wanna make sure citizens aren't getting a ticket when there's nobody in the parking lot.
and that's part of the officers having to review them.
Okay,
And all that.
thanks.
And then we're also we're waiting on the signs to come in about that hours. That we slip all around. So these hours, not just on the light. I know it made me aware on Globe Street, because I pulled up there to the 4-way stop sign and that strobe light that's down below it flashed. And I was like, just taking a picture of it. What did I just do?
You ran that stop sign.
I haven't seen flash. Yeah, and also this one, she noticed there's a black box below it, that's an LED light. Which we didn't have any lights for this, hold on that. We didn't get that. Good.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. McVeigh?
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that our equipment operators, excuse me, our equipment operators actually started at 1688 an hour. Thank you.
Was that a reflection of the discussion on sanitation?
That was just a mention.
That's what you get when you got a CDL, because of the city.
So the trash truck guys are gonna, if they drive, they start at 16, what you're saying?
Anyone that has a CDL.
Okay.
It's so convenient.
Thanks. Make sure I understood.
Chief Kathy?
We're nearing installation of the baby box. They're almost completed, then we have to go through 7 days of testing. And then it will go live. So we're getting really close on that one. We're also doing new hire testing on March 23rd. If anyone would like to come watch, you're more than welcome to join us. Physical agility will start right around 8 a.m. 23rd.
I saw him cutting brick the other day.
Yeah.
It's on a Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
We're looking for a numbers officer. We're having a hard time doing that position, so I want to say it in a public meeting, but also be on anybody.
Okay.
And officer.
Oh.
Please send them out.
Thank you. Chief Kathy, are we gonna have, a ribbon cutting for that? Will we?
They call it a blessing day, and after we complete these 7 days of testing, then I believe the Right to Life will coordinate that.
Thank you. Mr. Rattler?
Yeah, well, my first one was the school zones and the lights and cameras, so we've kind of covered that. My second one is, I was just wondering if there's anybody on the staff that's following up with the senior center on the concerns we had with them after we had our special meeting with them. I want to make sure we're not just letting them come talk and then we just drop the ball and we're not doing anything about it. I know they had a lot of maintenance concerns when Mr. Self and I went out there. I just don't know if we're communicating with them. Are we taking care of their issues? What are we doing with the senior citizen?
Joe?
So we have gone out there, we have checked on them. We have talked with them about, getting their 501c3. We have reached out to, aging and long-term. We have followed up with, we have done several, conversations and, about the building. We are still needing to update that and try to fix those.
Well, I know like one of their concerns was lights on the outside. I was hoping we could kind of address some of that that's safety related
Yes,
quickly.
yes, and those are a timer, I believe. That those have been messed with a little bit, and so we're still working on that.
Okay.
We're still doing-
And then have they followed up with their 501(c)(3) because they have to be the
in
process? Okay. Okay.
And my last one is, and I brought this up with Kelly yesterday, at P and Z. I never saw a plan for the skate park. Maybe it was presented to the council, the actual, what it was gonna look like. But I don't know how many of you have been out there and walked around that. But 60 to 75% of it is asphalt on dirt. And my concern is Steve and them are fixing to have to start maintaining asphalt that there may be a warranty, but it's gonna run out. And now our city crews that need to be fixing streets are gonna be over there fixing this asphalt bike trail thing that I wasn't aware of. I assumed the whole thing was gonna be concrete like the old skate park was. So I just didn't know if everybody was aware of what it is that's there.
Ms. McVeigh?
So the city council, from my understanding, did see the plans. And they have seen what it was gonna be made of and whatnot. There is a warranty that comes with it. And it is for a year for the skate park and for the pump track. And it's not gonna fall apart as quickly as you might think, just because there's not, like the roads, the comparison that's being made. Because there's no cars and heavy equipment being driven over it or anything. Now there will be wear and tear. I mean, that's natural. You are correct. But the upkeep on it has been factored in whenever we were building it and talked about maintaining it. And so we have worked that into the plan.
Is there gonna be concrete poured over that asphalt on all of the park, or is that part gonna stay asphalt?
Just asphalt.
Just asphalt. Okay.
Now, on the outside,
Is it
there is an
concrete?
option of different material that is gonna be put on the outside. of it. Not so much concrete right on the outside of the pump track is what you're talking about, like where the hill is and that kind of
Yes.
stuff going up to it. There is another option of a different kind of material that I can't remember the name of it right now. But we do have 3 options of material that we can put on there, and we are looking for it right now.
That's my bigger concern, because it's not so much the asphalt itself as it is, it's just red dirt underneath it. It's gonna
Correct.
just come lead out of there first rain we get, and
And
then the
that's,
asphalt's gonna collapse.
that is an understandable an understandable concern. So yes, we are looking at 3 different materials that we can put on there.
Thank you.
I would think that they could use something like gunite or what they use on swimming pools to seal that.
What did you call it? I'm sorry.
I think it's gunite or something like that.
I am
It's a
not,
spray on modified cement, basically, that just covers it.
okay. This one is kind of, I know that one of them is kind of, it's a type of aggregate, which is also a type of asphalt. You know, that's what asphalt is, but it's not the same as what the contract would be.
Well, and I'm sure that they probably took that into consideration with their design work when, because they don't want to have to keep coming back to maintain.
Exactly.
And can I ask on that same line? So it's not open yet, but we still haven't put up a fence, or is it,
open.
it's
There's
open?
People there every night.
Well, I know, but
So there are people playing on it, and I have talked to them about putting up a fence in the meantime, and I'm told that it continues to blow away.
Because it's one of the orange ones.
Liability falls on the contractor until we.
oh, it does.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Liability falls on the contract.
Oh, okay, so that was gonna be one of my questions is the update on the skate park, because there's there's concrete pieces that they removed. There's big mounds of dirt, you know, there's the skate park and there's kids everywhere up on the concrete up. And I'm just thinking liability to the city.
The concrete's not part of the skate park. That's for work going on at Easter.
The curb and gutter.
That's
on
on
the other
right
side.
there, okay. But as far as the mound, that I'm just thinking, okay, somebody's gonna call one of these days and say, oh, my little Johnny was up there doing what he wasn't supposed to be doing and he got hurt, and then it's a liability against the city. So what is the status of the park? It's not complete yet, correct?
So the skate park itself, the concrete skate park itself is pretty much complete. We're just waiting on 2 pieces to be brought in. But otherwise, that piece is pretty much complete.
And will they remove all the dirt and everything?
The concrete you're talking about is on Eastern property.
No, I'm saying the dirt.
The dirt,
Dirt is where the asphalt is. That's the.
That's those,
no, that's gonna stay there. They're putting asphalt on top of it.
that's it.
That's a pump track.
Oh, that's what you're calling a pump?
Pump track.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not dirt. That's the actual asphalt.
It'll be nice to see it.
Okay, it'll be nice to.
I was out there today and there were 23 kids and parents out there and they were having a blast.
Yeah.
On the playground equipment. There is a fence around one of the playground equipments, and that's because we are waiting on a couple of bags of the filler to come in. And then once that's here and put into place, then that'll be open for everybody.
Hopefully they'll get through soon, but when I went by today, during the day, there was 2 guys and one of them was on crutches. Working, so I mean, how much we're getting done to get finished with that.
It's actually gone up
Do they have
a
it?
lot quicker than what I thought it was gonna be. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do they have a deadline?
They haven't given me a for sure deadline as of right now.
The target day is the end of April, but
It's,
that's a contractor.
Sounds good.
So
Down crutches is probably the quality control.
I was a little worried about him.
So I have, okay, anything else on that? I guess I have another comment regarding Mr. Davidson. And I appreciate very, very much what you talked about when you said trash. I try not to, but I go onto Facebook sometimes and I look at these people that are so good about taking pictures of their alleys and, you know, what is the city doing? And why can't the city come and do this? And this town is ridiculous because there's so much trash. But I have said this over and over. The trash that we see is ours. It's our trash. We're trashy people. I'm sorry. Everybody, we need to admit it because we teach our kids when they're young, and I'm not specifically talking to you, but we teach our kids when they're young, they make a mess in their bedroom. It's your responsibility to pick it up. It's not mine. We walk through our alleys. If you're walking through your alley, when you go out to dump your trash, if there's trash around your trash can, pick it up. This is my trash can. And yes, I'm mad because somebody came in through this stuff, but I don't want a trashy alleyway. So it's very, very disheartening that every time they make a mess and they throw everything down, we could come to our council meetings and leave cups and trash and everything and expect someone else to pick it up. the city can do, and your suggestions were great, and I appreciate that very much. Yes, but the city's only part of this big cycle that we're in. So at one point, many years ago, we had a thing in Portales called Pride of Portales. I don't care if you live in a house of $10,000 worth $10,000 or worth $100,000. We need to take pride in what we live in and where we're at. If there's trash on your street in front of your house or on your block, pick it up. Yes, there's people in this town that are going to throw it out because they see trash already on our streets. So they just add to it. And it's ridiculous because the people, I'm sorry, like you said, are becoming lazier and lazier. And shame on us for the people in this community to allow that to happen. I mean, walk around with a bag and if you see trash, pick it up because everything in this town belongs to us. And some people are saying, well, it's people in the county. Okay, but they still live in our county, Roosevelt County, city of Portales. So the city can do something and they're trying to do what they can do. And we're spending money and taking trucks and looking at wages and everything that we can. But on the other side of it, we as citizens have to take care of what we have to take care of. So it's ridiculous. So don't tell me about how trashy our town is because we are a trashy community because we allow it. So we cannot continue to do that. And we need to bring back the Pride in Portales. We used to have a trash walk where every time about this year, we would meet in the park. We would have all these different organizations come out, Boy Scouts, church groups, school groups, everything, everybody, and give them handfuls of trash bags and gloves and pick up all this trash in the community. And then we would feed them. The council would go out and cook hot dogs and everybody would come back and people would donate hot dogs and ice cream bars and just a celebration that we picked up some trash. We picked up 16,000 bags of trash today. Congratulations, all of us. And we do not do that anymore. So we need to get back on that and get the Pride in Portales back. So I am sorry. Trash is like, makes me very, very angry, but thank you for your comments and I appreciate it. But as a community, we need to start picking up our trash.
We did.
Thank you.
Yes.
My main focus was that we're expecting our city workers to actually perform miracles.
Exactly.
And in your equation, there's two parts to that equation. So they're both important, but I was addressing what these guys are up against.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and we did discuss that at our retreat that we are looking to maybe help out and everybody, you know, focus on a different ward every quarter. You know, we've started this year, of course, so maybe second quarter do 2 wards and 2 Saturdays and invite everybody to bring their trucks and trailers and just load up all the trash. I passed by McDonald's trash dumpsters over there and want to just cry. Okay.
I got a comment.
Yes, sir.
Why don't we tell the good Lord not to be so windy, so it won't be so much trash?
Hello.
I second that motion.
Mr. Merrick?
I think I've pretty much hit all of my things while everybody else was doing their stuff. So, at least. I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Elkins?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Kind of going off Miss Parker's comments, for the Pride of Portales. I always take great pride in my lawn. And so, with it being coming up to the warmer weather, I'm assuming all of my neighbors are going to want to start watering. As far as restrictions, are we still on the level 3 restrictions? Do we need to probably send out a blast of if we are or not? If we are still in restrictions, I would love for us to see how we can lift them. If the tanks are full, and we aren't at the peak demand, right now, I would suggest lifting those restrictions, because we do have a great sense of pride, in our homes, and having a green grass sure does help with that. So, it's, you know, I mowed my lawn this weekend, for some reason. It's kind of putting a pig in lipstick, but hey, at least it's got lipstick this week. So it's mowed, even though it's got weeds. Another thing for Pride of Portales, we're getting ready to go with the Little League is starting up. And so on the 23rd, we've actually got a cleanup day out at the softball fields for anybody that's interested in coming to help clean that up. I know that we're working with Mr. Chavez to get the pumps working so that we can start using that reuse line. So come out and support the Roosevelt County Little League and help clean up the softball complexes. That's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Well, me and my son's been cleaning a bunch of yards for free. My son goes up there and loads the trailer, and then I take the trailer to the convenience center, but right there, I'm not gonna pick it up and throw it. I said, you need to do it.
Well, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
In fact, the trailer's loaded right now. Those people that were doing it for, I think he's kind of crippled, he's in a wheelchair. So we're kind of helping him out.
Well, we appreciate that. And I'm sure that he does as well. Thank you for that. Mr. Self.
Yeah, so what is the process? I had a complaint from a friend that sent me pictures about trash and it's overflowing the dumpster. I mean, they're trying, but he sent me 3 dumpsters and 2 out of the 3 are overfilling. If a family has 3 or 4 kids and you quantify that, what is the process? Is it taking up complaints to get another dumpster in that area? If it's a continual problem, I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, we're eventually gonna go to the 4 yards. It's gonna take a while to do that, but they only give 1 dumpster for somebody else's.
And Mr. Chavez, how much is the 4-yard dumpster?
It's total price.
Yes, sir.
We just got 28 of them and it was $29,000.
And that's increasing them from a 3-yard dumpster to a 4-yard. So that's gonna cut down on how many trips they have to make. It's really gonna, I think, make a huge difference
Yeah, good idea.
in the traffic and the number of times you have to run up there.
I think what Mike had said, that it's about having a central point where we bring all those trucks to, and then haul it with semis is something we really gotta look at, because as he said, those trucks could be out picking up trash in Allen's, dumping those dumpsters, dropping it at a local center.
Four of them.
Right. And
Well, and we talked about it at length on that meeting, and it just makes sense on a lot of levels. It really.
Yeah.
And we don't have our brush truck anymore, do we? Does anybody remember what we used to have to?
Not right now, but hopefully we'll have it back pretty quick.
So the brush truck, and would it still be the same concept if you were gonna be cutting down trees or you had a lot of trash that they would park the truck on your property? Can they still do that?
We can't get on your property. Liability reasons, we can't.
Or you
get
can
on.
park it in the street?
Well, if they have it in the alley, you pick it up and we can't get on your property.
Because remember what they used to do? They used to park it on your property. They would lock it, like they would bring it after work. They would lock it and then you would fill it up and then they would come back the next day and pick it up.
Like a rotator?
Like the roll-off.
The roll-offs?
containers.
No, it used to be a truck. That's why we called it the brush truck.
Steve, when she's talking about that's what we used to do with the dump truck. We take it to their house and leave it.
Leave it.
overnight.
Mhm.
And the problem with that was we'd go back to pick it up on Monday morning and they'd already thrown rocks through all the windows. And so we quit doing that.
Okay, so now we have like the roll-offs, what they call the roll-offs, where you could put like rent one or something.
No, we don't, we don't, that's the whole.
Because we'd even talked about possibly when you were talking about wards, like for example, Ward D, find a central location and then take a couple of roll-offs and put them there, set them there.
If it's
And then-
during the cleanup, we can do that.
Then let all the people know in the ward, we're having free dump. So go take all your trash and everything and put it in there and then they would come and pick up the roll-offs.
Yeah.
We
during
talked
cleanup,
about that
we'll
in
do
the
it.
meeting, in combination with the cleanup, we would use some dumpsters as well as
Yeah.
opening up like I've got a trailer that dumps, and if I'm going down the alley helping that day, I could go dump that day here and not have to drive a cold.
Mhm.
So, which I normally can't because it's a dump trailer.
Mr. Self, anything else?
Has this, I guess it'd be a question for Steve, but have you entertained possibly doing more concrete in some of the intersections? It seemed like previously we had done that in certain spots, and it seems to hold up with, heavy vehicles braking and accelerating.
Yeah, we need to start checking into that. It does hold up because the rollout when the vehicles are coming up to stop. They come stop lots.
It seems to hold up well. And I know you guys are doing what you can with the potholes, but yeah, get a rain and they're just right back. So
We start looking into that.
I'd like to see some areas and maybe, I don't know if that's a planning and zoning or just marking the worst areas and then trying to do more of the concrete. I think it lasts, so your money well spent, money ahead on that sense with the concrete.
You're talking about the approaches.
The approaches and even certain areas and maybe even certain roads. I think Eldon was talking about 18th, where the big semis go down, maybe, the 18th in Kilburn. That's
You bringing that up reminded me, that was one of the things I was gonna talk about.
They're
Was,
fixing to redo that one, but it's gonna be an asphalt.
Right.
It won't be concrete.
And I remember sitting in the council meeting on the audience side, whenever that was discussed, and it was brought up that concrete was more expensive than the asphalt. But it's gonna last many more times than that asphalt. So a little bit of difference, even if we've got to come up with it, if it's 10,000 more to put in the concrete, I think we really need to look at that. Because anytime a semi goes around the corner and the tires are turning, they cut out that asphalt, put on concrete, they use the rubber up on the tire instead, so.
Or even just a regular trailer does the same.
Yeah. But that was another question that I had is, they actually put up barrels and we're gonna do that intersection at one point about 3 or 4 months ago. And then they got taken up.
We found a Century Link cable.
I noticed that they were doing,
It took them 3 months to get it moved. They got it done today.
okay,
So
I
they'll be
noticed
in
they
there
were
next
going
week.
underneath and moving some utilities, so.
They'll be in and do that next week, that intersection.
Well, and that can be looked at with some of the funds that we remember when we raised our portion of property tax. So we have a fund now that we could use that
Let's
To-
go ahead and do that.
to add for the
I think it'd be well worth it on that intersection especially, because they do have trucks turning now.
Yeah.
Some of those high traffic intersections, the one on 17th and B where Creighton's is, that's a bad intersection all the time. Some of those that are high traffic with trucks, maybe, start looking more.
Have you shared with the public with that? Did you, with the concrete?
no, so we're working through the finance and the change in the department. We got audit stuff in, so then now that's the next priority is to line item that item and get that funding for that. So we have a total for everybody to know. And then, another thing that we talked about is informing the public. This is what, the increase was, this is what your dollars are going towards. That way they can see what we're working towards.
I think if the public sees tangible benefits with the roads, I mean,
Yeah, they'll be.
that's what everybody
in
wants to see.
favor of it.
See improvements.
Okay, so my comments, I am going to, Mandy, I know you walked in late and our public comment has changed to the beginning. Did you want to add anything for your stuff? Okay. With that, we are going to go to our next item, which is executive session. Action to convene into a closed meeting to discuss matters as provided for under New Mexico statutes relating to limited matters pertaining to the potential litigation and attorney-client privileged information. Can I get a motion to convene into an open session?
So moved.
I'm sorry, a closed session.
So moved.
Yes. I have a motion by Ms. Reckler. I'm sorry, Ms. Parker, and a second by Mr. Self. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, we are in executive session. Thank you, guys. Okay, so now we need action to convene back into an open session.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Parker, a second by Mr. Self, all in favor,
Aye.
all opposed. Motion carries and action as a result of the closed session, there was no action taken. And with that, we are adjourned.